Welcome to the GID press briefing. This briefing is mainly organized to interact with you, the media, and to inform the public about the recent happenings, most especially the interceptions that we had these recent days. We had interceptions that had been on different days, but we would give you a breakdown of everything. And it's a great opportunity for you, the media, and the Gambian populace to know what exactly is transpiring in the GID, most especially with regards to the implementation of our mandate as an implementation authority. And the media, I'm so much thankful for the cooperation you've always rendered to the GID, most especially when we call you out to any engagement that we have at hand. And this is a great attestation of your commitment to the work you are doing. We are so much grateful. We cannot say anything much, but we have to say it's absolutely great that we have you on board to cooperate with us in our delivery of services. Without wasting more time, I'm going to give you a breakdown of what the press briefing is going to be based on. One, we start with I'm going to give you a report on the interceptions that had been made all this while. And second, I'm going to go into, right after that, we're going to have the DG to have an interface with you. Okay, you would have an opportunity to interact with the DG. Then from there on, we would have the question and answer session for the journalist. And then from there on, we would have question and answer session for the journalist. And then we would conclude. That would be the conclusion for the briefing. Okay, we're going into the session proper. This, like I said, is a press briefing that is organized to talk to you about the happenings, most especially the interception that had been made by the GID in collaboration with other partners, okay, state partners and other non-state partners from outside. Okay, on the 19th of April 2025, a joint operation team consisting of the GID and the SIS intercepted 8 would-be migrants, including a suspected agent, Lamin Jawara. In response to an intelligence gathered by the SIS, a successful operation was held at the Jambur and the intercepted migrants were transported to the Tangier Border Patrol Unit for due processing on the same night. Among the intercepted would-be migrants were 2 Gambians, 5 Senegalese, and 1 Nigerian. Then on Saturday, 20th April 2025, a thorough investigation ensued by the Joint Investigation Team, which warranted the obtainment of witness statement and some cautionary statement from the would-be migrant, and Lamin Jawara was a prime suspect. However, an investigation indicates that one Lamin Jame, who has a pending case with us and currently reporting on bail, is yet again involved in receiving payment and recruiting migrants for another irregular migration journey. A migrant attested to have paid a sum of $55,000 to Lamin Jame in Serekunda for the trip. Further investigation revealed that Mr. Jame, who is currently in our custody, was also engaged in collecting money and recruiting migrants from the Gambia and Senegal. He has confessed to receiving over four payments ranging from $30,000 to $50,000. However, Mr. Jawara insisted that he is not an agent, as he only opted to travel to Europe just like the rest of the would-be migrant. He mentioned one Mr. Sain, a Senegalese national and a resident of Jambur, was the main organizer. He affirms that the recruitment is done in the Gambia, and Mr. Sain was present in the Gambia on the same day they were intercepted. Jawara was therefore cautioned and charged for conspiracy. On the second interception we had on April 23rd, 2025. According to the report, on a timely information shared by our officers by the State Intelligence Services on Wednesday, April 2025 at around 12 a.m., the Tangier Border Patrol Unit, in collaboration with SIS, intercepted 77 would-be migrants in Sanya, a 7-passenger van with registration number BJL 89635, and 9 gallons of fuel were also confiscated during the operation. The migrants were transported to the Tangier Border Patrol Unit for processing. Profiling of migrants was conducted, and among the 77 would-be migrants include 36 Gambians, 2 Senegalese, 22 Guineans, 2 Nigerians, and 6 Malians. 7 of the migrants were female and 5 other minors. Witness statements were obtained from some of the migrants, and the investigation team was duly informed that one Sekou Kamara, a native of Farato, as a sole organizer of the irregular migration trip. He recruited migrants in the Gambia and promised to transport them to the Canary Islands through a irregular migration route. He has amassed over 200 payments of would-be migrants ranging from 20,000 to 50,000. The migrants were initially harbored in a compound in Jalamba before moving to Sanyang on Sunday, 20th April. While awaiting departure at Sanyang, 77 among the would-be migrants were intercepted by the GAD officers while others fled the scene. Subsequently, a team was also dispatched from Tanje Border Patrol Unit to apprehend Sekou in his home compound at Farato. However, the team were informed that Sekou was out of town and his return date is unknown. On the same day, on the same thing, we have on April 27th, we have another interception, which was on Sunday, the 27th April 2025. The GAD officers of Gunjur and the Tanje in collaboration with Guardia Civil in a separate operation intercepted 37 would-be migrants. 22 of the migrants were intercepted in Batakungu, 11 in Brusubi, and 4 at Brufut. And a vehicle with the registration number plate KM7946E was among the things that were captured. Among the intercepted migrants include 14 men, 23 women, 7 minors, all of whom are Gambian nationalities. Guinean nationalities. Plenary investigation revealed that one Lamin Dud harbored the migrants in a compound at Batakungu, Brufut, and Brusubi while awaiting for their departure. Babakar and Lamin John are alleged to be the main organizers of the trip, and the investigation is ongoing. A breakdown of the statistics report include 39 Gambians. We have 39 Gambians from the interceptions altogether that were made. We had about 39 Gambians, 8 Senegalese, 22 Guineans, 3 Nigerians, 5 Kenyans, and 2 Somalians. Gender parity, we had about 7 females, out of which one of them is pregnant, and she was released these days. She was released yesterday. So you can understand the situation at hand, that GID with the partners within the state, within the country and across, they are doing their utmost to ensure that they curb this irregular migration. But this is a joint thing. It's not something that GID alone can handle. Okay, from the report, you can understand that GID is doing its best, but beside the effort that we are making, we are encountering a lot of difficulties, most especially with regards to the fact that we have other people from other countries that are taking the Gambia as a transit point. Okay, you can see from this, we have a lot of foreign nationals that are taking Gambia as a transit point, and this is getting out of hand. It's becoming so much difficult for us. So without wasting much time, I'll give DG the platform. He's going to have an opportunity to interact with you. So you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, PRO, and I want to thank the media for covering our events. We still remain your very reliable partners for nation development. I, the Director General of Immigration, Ibrahim Mbu, I am here to also present to you 27 Gambian returnees from Mauritania. And it is also important for me to give an account of how the 27 Gambians are returned in the Gambia and why. We all know Gambia, we also have our immigration responsibilities, and we enforce them to get people out of the country who fail to regularize their stay. In the same way, Mauritania has been a ground where irregular migrants have been stuck for more reasons, not getting to the Canary Islands for economic reasons, and so on. Now, the team that left the Gambia some time ago to meet up with the Gambian authorities in Mauritania, I mean the Gambian embassy, on the issue of providing ID cards to the Gambian residents in Mauritania. The account of those that were unable to make it before this response or arranged before the officers or authorities for repatriation are the ones we are receiving today, and I'm presenting them to you and the Gambian population. One of the good accounts of what we get to understand about the 27 that are returning or have returned today is that the Mauritanian authorities have also taken up very good regulations in terms of internal security. One of it is that there are requirements that one should meet before you can stay in the country. And according to reliable sources, you need to have 2 Mauritanians to attest on you, your presence in Mauritania. And in the same way, when you apply for naturalization here, you need to have 2 referees that will attest to your good behavior, your character, at least to have a written attestation of who you are in the Gambia. So I've come to realize that there are so many procedures that definitely entangled in the procedure of acquiring a work permit, which is, of course, very, very good for immigration enforcement. Now, number 2, you must have a work permit. We might be flexible as Gambians when you have a work permit or you have been enrolled or perhaps, but your entry is very important for us to know. The same way, Mauritania has also this requirement of having a work permit. I got to understand that when you are to regularize this work permit, if you are given 90 days, your 90 days, if it elapses, you must leave. You leave and then enter before you can be enrolled for any other regularization of stay. This is very clear. Now, one thing as that is also required is tenancy agreement. If you must be residing in Mauritania, you should have a tenancy agreement between you and a landlord. This is also key. One of it also includes medical certificate. You should have a medical certificate. Another is means of support. You should have at least a $50 equivalent to almost 5,000 ubia in a bank for your sustenance. You should have valid documents from your place of origin. And these are the requirements that are set out as new regulations from Mauritanian authorities for those that are non-Mauritanians in the Mauritania. And we happen to have our embassy in Mauritania. We also have Gambians who are residing there on economic reasons. I was told there are people engaged in unskilled areas of their activities, but we also have Quranic teacher who is also enrolling Gambians in there and is a Gambian. We also have other Quranic schools that also enroll Gambians. So most of it we understand they are providing education, and that is the Quranic education to people coming from the Gambia. Some are married and some are there on official reasons. What we get to understand is these our returnees were unable to fulfill some of these conditions, and they were left between Rosso and Senegal. But the Senegalese authorities also do not have the adequate documents from Mauritania through processing that would accept them to come. So it was our embassy in Dakar that had to do the facilitation over a month or 16 days where these Gambians were unable to take their bath or have their sanitaries in full. It is a very difficult situation, but what we can do as authorities is to put our response in order. Our team in Dakar, the embassy, after facilitating overnight, we are now expecting them, and as of now, very soon when we get out, we will be receiving them. And we thank the Gambia Red Cross for also facilitating that part of their sanitation, and then the gears that are also provided to them. This is a very good cooperation between the Gambia Immigration Department and the Red Cross Society. We would also want to thank the embassy in Dakar for the swift facilitation of the return of Gambians from Mauritania. We also would want to thank the embassy in Mauritania And after all, the whole government architecture, I mean, the Office of the President for giving such a swift response to protect Gambians who are at the mercy of being deported or repatriated from Mauritania. We want to assure the Gambian population and all residents were found that we are committed to the protection of Gambians wherever they are in need. And this is not the first time where we have to go and issue documents to those in Mauritania for them to keep their economic activities and for those on education reasons. We are on a new trend as GID. Digitization is what we are doing. And of course, we want to extend our services across Africa and to those into the diaspora. Documentation is a need for all in terms of economic reasons and of course, and any other that is attached to your own livelihood. We are cognizant of the importance of these documents, and the government is doing everything it can to ensure that Gambians anywhere are having access to those needs. After thanking the government and to all stakeholders who took part in this, I definitely would want to present to you the media for interaction with most of these migrants to get the full account of why the government response was very necessary. I thank you very much.
Thank you, DG, for that wonderful presentation. We go into the next phase of the briefing. That is going to be question and answer. If you have any questions regards to the interception, you can kindly ask.
Okay, I have three questions actually on the interception and also on the.
Would you mind to ask one question at a time?
Okay.
Please, yeah.
So I am joking as to which should I ask for now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just take one for now. Given the fact that the immigration over the time, over the past months and years have been intercepting over and over again, we just want to know what specific measures are you, so the department currently implementing the growing trend of illegal migration, especially those potential migrants in the shores. And then I'll come up with the other two questions that has to do with the returnees from the jail.
Okay.
Thank you. Before you go, can you introduce yourself for media?
My name is Alex Dara. I work for the department as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that question. It's good you asked this question, and the answer to this question is very simple. You can understand that the GID is absolutely doing great when it comes to reinforcing its borders. Okay, reinforcing deploying personnel with the required skills across borders to ensure that the movement of people into the country is monitored, and that is not done. It's not done unilaterally. We have other partners that we collaborate with. We have partners we have state partners and we have international partners that we collaborate with in ensuring that Gambians are safe and our borders are safe. We do what is necessary to ensure that people that are moving into the country and moving out are actually their movement is monitored. So I think the department is doing its best.
Okay. Can I add on to that?
Yeah.
Maybe in addition to the question, I just want to report that 2024 to in the whole of 2024, we have 1,642 refused entry of personnel or people coming into the Gambia, travelers who did not meet requirements, and these are largely on those within the ECOWAS. What you need to know is we also have entry requirements to enter into the Gambia. And one of these is the ECOWAS biometric identifications, either a passport or an identity card. Now, the ETC, Emergency Travel Certificate, is also recognized by ECOWAS, but in special situations. So most of the travelers or migrants, when they come with this, it makes it very difficult to get their biometric. You know, you can be able to rely on that, which is not issued by their country through a biometric means, meaning it makes us comfortable to identify somebody and to be able to account for somebody and when it comes to intelligence. Now, in addition to the ETC, you realize that they are not normally with the adequate requirement needs that you need to have somebody in the, and we are not trying to accept people in the country who will fall destitute or don't have adequate purpose of entry into the country to be lodged by somebody or else to leave people on their free will to become havoc to the people of the Gambia and our residents. So this one indicator is an effort to discourage people coming in and then just for sort of what can take you.
Would you mind going into details a little bit, give us a synopsis as to why the circumstances surrounding this 1,200 people that were actually refused entrance in this country? You just want to know. And then the other question would be, we just want clarity on the circumstances under which the 22 Gambians that were actually repatriated back. If there is any reintegrating shock or if there is any risk, and also, these are future attempts by other immigrants, because we understand that Mauritania has been having a lot of Gambians.
Okay, let me first deal with the question of adding more value to the 1,642 refused entry. Gentlemen, I'll just refer you to any entry requirement today that maybe you've once applied for a visa, either to go to the Western world or to go to Ghana or elsewhere. You have to understand that entry requirements must be, or is very important to attain to before you travel to another country, depending on the regulations in place. So Gambia too have its own entry requirements. But of course, with the ECOWAS, we are more flexible with ECOWAS member citizens. But what you need to know is, if you apply for visa, you know how many pages you need to fill. Or even if you have dependents, when you're married, so classification and a lot is required on an individual's data. And in so doing, when you don't fulfill the needs of your presence into another man's country, normally you will not be granted that visa requirement. But we have adequate procedures that we take to ensure people or migrants or due for Gambia try to fulfill before coming. And don't be surprised that there are certain individuals you have to have an Interpol check on them before actually they are bound to the Gambia. And we check on manifests of flights to understand who are on board even before you are landed to go freely. So there are a lot of security background checks on individuals.
I may understand, this 1,642 actually came through the airport.
Not the airport.
Because given the fact that the Gambian borders they're so close.
Can I help you? You're asking a question, but of course you need to allow to fulfill. But I'm definitely convinced you must have applied for visa to go to Europe. You must have applied or traveled to Ghana. You need health certificates. And then you could see the ones I've just mentioned about Mauritania. So it's all the same. Don't think the Gambia where you belong today don't have those yardsticks to ensure you come in safe to make people safe. So don't take the chain question style. It's an interaction. But let me go to number 2 of your question, if you allow me.
Sure.
Good. Yeah, you did mention about the 27 returnees, and you try to ask more about our readiness in terms of. Now, these are not intercepted. That maybe if you talk about interception, that's one thing, but we are talking of returnees, Gambian returnees from Mauritania. Am I in line with you?
Yeah.
Good. You are talking, what was your question?
I just want you to provide clarity on the circumstance of which the 27 Gambians were returned back to the Gambia, and in future what measures are you going to take in the future?
Okay.
Given the fact that a lot of young Gambians use Mauritania as a transit point to the country.
Very good question. I think this message is for me and you and to rest of our media practitioners here to understand that given the requirements of entry into Mauritania or the resident requirements of other citizens to Mauritania, first of all, we should understand that Mauritania is out of the ECOWAS bloc. That's number one. So they might not be as flexible as you are going to an ECOWAS member country. Their regulations, their entry requirements may differ from the agreement of the sub-regional citizenship and that free movement, one. So Gambians should pay attention to that. Two, when you are bound for a country, it's better you have information on the security situation of such a country before you get there. And of course, you must have someone, or maybe if you're going to a hotel, I don't need to dwell on that, but when you're bound to a place, you definitely know what and what you should prepare adequately. So Gambian should be very informed, or those going for reasons of education should know they have a reliable school, and of course with the requirements that I've mapped out as regulations that Mauritania prefers somebody to have must be in place. Or you must have a guardian before you take your child to somebody in the same context of Quranic education. There are many reasons one would go to Mauritania from the Gambia. But it is also important for us to understand and recognize that to leave your country to another space, you have a lot of preparations to do. But now that they are coming, they are not treated as people intercepted. Our intercepted people, they are moving out to their place of origin. But those coming are returnees. They are going to be integrated with their families. And I did say we thank the Red Cross because for 1 month they never had their birth. You will understand that they were sharing a loaf of bread to 3. So the migrant situation is bizarre. The situation and experience to those that went on the back way, today might not be the first time you have an interface with them, but I'm giving you the leverage that you will, in fact, communicate, you will interface with them, you will understand. We don't know what their plight is, we don't know what they encountered, but you will get to know that with them. But if you ask us the measures we are putting in, we should ensure that people are well informed, and our sensitization of PRO's office, the community engagement, will carry on with many programs that should be enlightening people on travels.
Given the
Ali.
Am I
It's
okay with you?
Yeah,
No,
yes,
wait.
Allow me
Give
Next.
chance to
allow
another.
me to ask you this one question and I'm done, please. I am appealing. Let me just allow me to ask this question and I'm done.
Okay.
So earlier on, the PR made mention that Gambia is actually used as a transit point by foreign nationals. So we just want to know what mechanisms the immigration department putting in place to actually detect, prevent the country from being exploited by foreign nationals in this particular.
Okay. Gentlemen, I think we have responded to this question, but I'll just give you a hint still. I did tell you we have entry requirements, and these entry requirements are listed just as I've mentioned that of Mauritania. In the Gambia, maybe you need to be sensitized to understand what are the entry requirements to come to the Gambia, and this would be published on our page. If I would want to keep it brief, the Public Relation Office will provide that response into our Facebook page. To anybody, I think that should be very important.
Many a times,
Sorry.
people always complain of the challenges that they have, especially in terms of the porous nature of our borders.
Okay, let me just help you. Porous borders, you see, this is not America where we want to have, a wall between 2 states. But I want to I can say this, on media, because that's one thing we all know globally and as a measure of control. But that's not the under control. The Gambia has porous borders, but we have immigration officers deployed across each of our regions, and in fact, we have streamlined and enforced our ranks into each of these regions just for border management and control. And we're not working alone. We have the integrated border management mechanism in place. We are working with Senegalese authorities around, and we also have our intelligence sharing networks with the sub-region, Mauritania, you talk of Benin, Togo, Ghana. We are all in one, intelligence community, and this is normally supported and funded by Frontex. And we also have the Spanish authorities with us in different projects. So it is very intensive, and we are doing this across with even the European borders. I hope I responded very well to you. Next question, please.
Can I add something to what you said, General?
Please.
Okay. Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you very much, Aliu. I'm just going straight to your question that regards what are we doing with the non-Gambians that are flowing in and taking Gambia as a transit point to their final destination. Of course, like the General has said, in any country they have entry requirements, and we also have residence requirements. But most of these people that you are talking about, their intention is not to stay in the Gambia. They only come here and have a transit to leave. All right. What we are doing is like joint security operations. If you were following the Siemens presentation, the PRS presentation, he did mention that we are collaborating with other sister forces like SIS and other forces. So we do the intelligence sharing. Most of these things are tips that are given to the GID, and then we move on. Of course, we have porous borders, but we also instituted a border patrol unit that is in all regions that are also moving around the borders to make sure that these people are intercepted. And we also have intelligence in the town that will also inform GID of the presence of these kind of unusual movements around the communities, where we will send in our intelligence to gather information before we get into also arrest them. But one of the biggest challenge that we have as an institution is the legal and regulatory framework that has to deal with the people, especially those migrant smugglers and the transit migrants that are taking Gambia as a safe haven. You can see, the report has revealed that most of these people are not Gambians. But why are they running away from other countries? Initially, Gambia was not like this. It is not a departure point. But now, because I think lack of that regulatory framework that will serve as a deterrence for the culprits, to stop engaging in these activities. That is one of the things that are allowing people to come here. Because right now, when we deal with them, when we arrest or intercept them, we will arrange them and we will make sure that we address their issues through human rights compliance. None of them will be offended. So after that, you will send them back. It's like they don't feel anything that can deter them from coming. All right. So we have a bill that also has addressed this thing, and it is at the Ministry of Interior. And then we are expecting that this will be tabled before the cabinet and then to the National Assembly. And if this bill is enacted, there are a lot of deterrents that if it passes, we believe that the issue of transit will also be seriously mitigated. Thank you very much.
Yes. I'm sure I have two questions for you and one question for you. The Pharaoh, I'll go with you first.
Yeah.
Among the names of people that you said, you guys intercepted, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned of one Lami,
Lami.
who you said is believed to be an agent.
Yeah.
He's on bail right now.
Yeah.
And outside, Gambians, a lot of citizens out there are being fooled for 1 night. They give their monies to agents, and at the next minute, nothing comes out of it. Understand? You receive an agent for the first time on a bail, and second time you receive him again. What's next?
Yeah, what I have to tell you is, like my boss rightly mentioned here, we have an issue which is really making this work very difficult, because the GID as a department, we are an implementation authority. And beside the fact that we are an implementation authority, we have a bill that is pending currently at the Ministry of Interior, at the minister's level. Okay, and this bill is where we think if it is implemented, we have regulations that we could have been able to use to deter people from embarking on this activity. But because this bill is not something that is approved yet, it has not got to where we expect it to go, it's making the work very difficult for the GID. So obviously you can understand that in order for you to be able to deliver efficiency, in order for you to be able to do the work that is required of you, you must have to have legal framework that guides your operation. So we don't have that currently. So this is making the work very difficult. If you get someone today, you maybe you have compromise and you leave the person, next time he goes into it. So it becomes so difficult for the GID. But as I am going to, what I can tell you is the GID is doing its best. The command is doing its best to ensure that this bill gets to where it should go to, so that we have it implemented, so that the GID would have a sort of something to empower it to be able to operate as required.
Okay, so let me just add on to what he have just said. Like you said, he's on a bail and he went back and commits a crime again. So what do we would like the general public also to understand, GID as an institution, we don't have a prosecuting power. Like he said, we do implement, but we don't have like you have seen our effort. We arrest him and we get him again. All right, so we can arraign him before the court, and then the prosecuting power has to be given to us from the police. And in fact, if it is arraigned before the court, we are not the one who is going to decide on his fate. All what we can do is to arrest him and arraign him or her before the court. Whatever comes after that is not our responsibility. So these are some of the things that we are saying. These people are always prosecuted through the use of Immigration Act, and immigration offenses are not criminal. So the fines or charges that even the judges will fine them is no near deterrence for that person to stop involving into such activity.
The bill will take care of that when it is passed in cabinet. May I have your question?
My question to you is two. First one will go to this. The people that are talking before, I'm speaking from experience. As a Gambian, as you said, within your time expires, when they meet you to the state, they approach you first, which nationality are you from? Even you are arrested as they claim. Once they ask you, which country are you from? If you said Gambia, they will ask you to go to the embassy and remove yours. So what happened to that relationship between Gambia and Mauritania? To an extent now, when they find a Gambian outside, not like no time expired, they have to treat you as they are treating the others.
Okay, very good question, but I wish that this question is directed to the embassy of Mauritania, Gambia in Mauritania. But what I do know reliably is that the consular cards are not what the Mauritanian authorities acknowledge in terms of national document. The consular card is not a national document. So this is one thing I can tell you clearly, that it's not about relationship of Mauritania, and because the grace period we are given, actually, it's only Gambia that enjoy that, whether you know it or not. But since you talk from experience, the colleagues coming must be part of your experience, and it will be very clear to you that the Gambia has enjoyed a very fruitful and a good cooperation with Mauritania, and because I'm a witness to even this issue, that I found the Mauritanian ambassador here at the Foreign Affairs, and then there was a very good, discussion, one would say, that permitted or have allowed Gambians to even stay longer than they would have. So they're giving some grace period to ensure these regularizations were done. But to those that benefited from the enrollment and to those that were, found in different places, it's a whole country in different regions. So we found these 27 were already at the border, and they were not able to make it through Senegal because of documentation issues. But finally, the embassy has escorted them to Bara. They came last night, and today we are having them here very soon.
Yes, the reason I raised the question
No.
to you is that
Good. Like, wait. Let
the
me
reason why I raised the question to you is that
Yes.
you said you're working with the embassy in the Gambian embassy in the
In
Understand? So if I could not have access to him, I could ask your police who you could have. So respond. Thank you for that response. And secondly,
thank you. Good.
My second question is going to you could highlight, like you highlighted some of the countries, there are policies like entry requirements. Understand? Can you highlight few to the audience instead of asking
For the Gambia?
Yes, for the Gambians that are viewing right now.
That should be very simple. But we want to put it on our page. But if you ask directly at the moment, you see what I have said about Mauritania. For you to accept somebody, entry requirement. Gambia also, you should be very healthy, you know. You have a health certificate. If you want to go to Ghana, they take this thing. Yes, the yellow card. Because you are not supposed to bring in a communicable disease like when we had COVID, where you are around, that somebody came in. Maybe what happened to the health officer. When we say border officials, we are talking of forestry, we are talking of immigration, we are talking of police, we are talking of drug squad. You know, when I say the IBM, you are talking of everybody who should be at the border, because you are not supposed to bring seeds into the country that are very much not accepted, you know, and that would lead to phytosanitary offenses. We are talking of medical control officers. You are not supposed to bring in medicines that are not due for this country or not tested and approved. So the whole architecture of border officials each have a responsibility, and I'm talking of narcotic drugs. That's why we have dealing. You're talking of police for security reasons. You are not supposed to have pistols or those that are very, you know, not good. But when you come to again on the documentation, you are supposed to travel with a document that you can be identified with. We're talking of fraud. You know, like you, the entry requirements can be listed and not only on the side of what immigration needs. So you have to think about, you know, the whole of this. If you want to ask for a few, if I really please you. But like I said, when you're applying visa to go to America, you go to UK or any other country, you see how many pages. Have you been convicted before? For what reason? You need to know the individual who is coming into you. So let us just say that with the ECOWAS free movement, the Gambia is one of those countries that today, believe me, we can see a member state citizen going to Ghana, we take the ID card and then you bound a flight to go, but not all countries are accepting that even for us.
Yes, I'm talking of Mufali's case.
Did I answer your question first?
Did you?
Did I respond to that question, the few you mean?
I want to.
Yes.
Okay.
Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please.
No. Yes, Dave.
It's in connection. Maybe someone has to answer this question. But what he's trying to say is that Gambians were treated as a family before. Even Mali, all the treatment because I was there. When you say you are from Gambia, it's like you are not. All these procedures are there. And in fact, in Mauritania, because I spent only 1 week there, but as a Gambian, like there are procedures, but they were not. If you say you are from Gambia, it's like a family. So what he's trying to say, what has changed? Because the Gambians we know before. Listen, the Gambians we know before is different. Even if you are in like for example, if you are in Bissau, if you say Gambia, it's just like you are from Bissau. This is what he's trying to do.
Okay, let me come in here. You know, if you were following, General's presentation, he has presented a list of entry requirements for Mauritania, and he said these are the new list. Probably Mauritania presently is also experiencing a surge of irregular migrants into their country, and the number is becoming too much. So they also have to reinforce their, control mechanisms. So in that, Gambia is not exemption. So I think that is the reason why, these new, procedures are affecting everybody.
And that's why I asked.
Yes.
If Mutani would ask for $1, like amount of a certain money, and plus your national identification and medical health.
That was before, but now the new requirement is not looking into that. That is what he read. If you miss any of these requirements that you have read now, they will flush you out. That's their new requirement, and that is maybe because we all knew that Mauritania is also a transit point. Most of these Gambians that they are bringing in, they are not economic migrants in Mauritania. You have to understand that these people are on a transit, so they don't meet the entry and residence requirements of Mauritania. So they have no options. They have to take them out. That is the reason why they are out. And I'm sure that is why they also have to come with these new regulations to be able to control the flow of irregular migrations into their country, like what we are doing here today. We are also trying to make sure that we prevent people to use our country as a transit point. And we are also putting up all mechanisms. Are we not crying that our bill has to pass? So that we also have strong, tools to be able to address this, rising, immigration, phenomena.
Okay. Okay. I just want to say that, excuse me, young man, I just want to add that you've heard from us. But this question, maybe the Gambian returnees are outside. You can ask the same question and they will say yes. And I think
Next.
Exactly.
Next, please.
So we can ask questions like this today.
Exactly.
Anyways, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Florian Camara. So,
From which media house?
QTV.
QTV.
So, in relation to the interceptions that have been ongoing, I just want to know the impact it will have on the national security and, of course, the border management.
very good
Yes.
question. Good. Good. Yes, I can. I thank you very much for such a brilliant question. Because when you talk of internal security, this is an architecture. Already, the NSA, National Security Advisor, is putting us all together, befitting to ensure that even our regions have their technical committees. And this will be headed by the governors with the security structures in place. And moreover, they're coming to be those information service centers when it comes to how we build our intelligence and coordinate those structures too. Now, when it comes to these interceptions and the impact, I want to assure you that, we also have representatives within those countries that we have, and not all are represented, but you have the ambassadors here. So economic situations in certain countries are not really just befitting to their youth. But I tell you that this impact normally is by statistics or the data we collate. And when we get to regional meetings within ourselves, like the ECOWAS bloc, we communicate. Like you can see the agreement between Gambia and Senegal, and the result of the hot pursuit is because you cannot commit a crime in Senegal and then you run to the Gambia because you have an auntie here, or you now commit here, you run to, and I'm sure we all have those situations. But now Gambia and Senegal have agreed that once you commit a crime in the Gambia, we can even go 5 kilometers to get you. And then a lot of those has happened, and Gambian Senegal authorities will, work together, coordinate, and get the offender to book. So the impact is positive, and as long as the authorities work together, these statistics or data that we call it makes us relate to the other country, perfectly to work out the issues that we are tabling or resulting from these security patrols. And normally also the stakeholders also benefit into this, because intelligence sharing is very important, and it makes us all try to comply to those regional treaties, agreements, or even mutual bilateral cooperation. So it's so good when we collate these facts, knowing that, okay, a Gambian has done this in Mauritania, or a Gambian has killed somebody in Italy. Sometimes it goes bad that you see in retaliation, homophobic behaviors of citizens against others because you did this to our people. So when we look at that, our international relations and more of diplomatic cooperations take a lot of effect on this. Thank you.
Next question. Okay, if there is no other question, we would. Ali, please. Who has a question? Yes, louder.
Okay, I had many questions, but many of them have been answered. I will just ask one. First, my name is Dauda Bande, reporter at Impact Network First, I will commend the GID for the tremendous efforts it's been doing for the past year, because we've seen the impact it is having in society. And when you look at irregular migration, it's a well-coordinated chain, and which means that if one is missing, you wouldn't get to where you want to get. My question is, what is GID step? What step is GID to ensure that they communicated with these intercepted migrants in tracking the agents behind this thing? Because most of these migrants, all of them, they know the agents, but when you approach them from their angle, they wouldn't want to tell you who the agent is. And no matter what information, if you don't have it from them, for you to track the agent would be very difficult. And I understand this has been a challenge for you to trace this agent. So what approach are you taking to ensure that you communicate with these migrants to track the agents and dismantle their operation?
Okay, Dauda, thank you very much for that good question. It's timely that you raised this question. And then if you look at it, the Public Relations Office is doing its tremendous effort to ensure that it communicates to the public. And this is why when you look at it across, you will realize that our platform, that is the Facebook platform, is very active. That's a vibrant platform that we do publication every now and then. And it's not the only platform which we are using to interact with the public or to inform the public about the consequences of what is happening, most especially when it comes to irregular migration. If you go to the page right now, you find out a lot of series of our episodes on migration issues. Okay, the reason why we have this centered, or our discussion centered on migration on certain basis, is because we feel this is a trending issue. And when you look at it, this is something that has to do with the society. This is something that has to do with the communities. And it's a general problem. You understand? So we implore on the communities. Usually in our discussion, we implore on the communities to share information, because with timely sharing of information in relation to migration and other things, it will help us to strengthen our effort to curb the irregular migration. But if that is not happening, it will be very difficult. You understand? So we are doing our utmost best in ensuring that we communicate to the public. And we feel it is something that is not a mandate, you can say, that it's levied on the GID as a department to ensure that it controls the movement of people in and out of the country. But the communities have a role to play. You understand? If the community does what is required of it, like its responsibility of sharing information, it would also help to put us on task, and we will be able to get people that are involved in this act to book.
Sorry, I think I will just add on to what he said. You are referring to what are we doing to be able to track the smugglers?
Yeah, but
yes. This is what we are doing. As part of our efforts, whenever we have an interception, we use our intelligence with the help of some of the migrants, because like you said, sometimes the would-be migrants are not cooperative. But sometimes when we have an interface with them and you discuss with them and try to make them to understand what your intention is, and sometimes we can even use them as a witness, as a state witness, in order for them to help us to get to the main man. Although it's very difficult here in this country, sometimes we find it very difficult when it comes to implementing certain rules, especially to bring out somebody who has committed an offense. It's not easy. But some of the migrants are cooperative, and sometimes when you are cooperative, we give you all assurance, and then we can use you as even a witness, so that we will get this culprit, and then you will also be able to retrieve your money. Because sometimes, after these interceptions, migrants will struggle; they will not be able to retrieve their money from the smugglers. So this is what we got to put to them to understand that what we are doing is to make sure that you who has spent your money, you retrieve your money back. So you try to convince them on this, and with that, some of them are coming up, and then we are using them as a witness to be able to prosecute the perpetrators.
Okay, just let me conclude on that, because you've touched on a very specific something which has a lot of radius. There are agents who are abroad. There are also agents out of even West Africa, in other countries. Some, they are home. So it's a whole complete network. We have come to realize this, that some even pay in Spain to those that have linked to this country. It may be even Spanish. You may not even understand. Gambian who are resident there, or it depends on whoever you can, or the intelligence can lead to. What I need to tell you is, it's a complete network, but we also are having our intelligence network. Just to tell you that we have the EU, we're working with them on Frontex. You can see the Guardia Civil. We also have the COP network, where we gather information, and then don't see all these boats you see, we have registered all of them, and we can tell where they're made, or even when they're intercepted, we'll definitely know facts surrounding who was, where it was built, and who was the owner, in the same way. So the agents part too, we have data surrounding this. And not only that, we have the African intelligence community, of which we have representatives in each of the immigrations within the sub-region, down to just within the ECOWAS. We sit, even Mauritania, we discuss on most of these things, and we share the intelligence. So you can see that the whole of Africa is networked, and that's not even enough. You know, it's like that network is even stronger than those that are committing these crimes, and that's why we trample them. So it's not something that that can, you know, overcome our own impact of having such an organized body. And we are not working alone. You have to understand that we have the WAPIS, that's the West African Interpol too, and of course, not only that, there are others that we may not be able to put for, but within the whole sub-region, you act on anything, I'm telling you, just do something, you will see that you'll be arrested. So we always know how to. I think I have a very important message. This is for GID, but trust me, we have a representative from the Embassy of Mauritania, who is the Deputy Ambassador himself. He's here. He escorted these Gambians, so you can see how responsible the Gambia was. I think I will not do much than to present to you the ambassador or deputy ambassador on behalf of Mauritanian Embassy and the rest of Gambians that have returned. A pleasure to meet all of you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we would have to conclude this by saying we are so much grateful to any one of you here, most especially those of you from the media houses. We are so much thankful. And then to Guardia Civil and COP Gambia, they are partners that are doing their tremendous effort to ensure that they help us in the fight against irregular migration. We can't do much but to thank them for everything that they're doing. Thank you.